Yeah. Hello, guys. So today we are joined by Jacob, the founder of TYRH, and the coin has been performing extraordinarily well. It's done phenomenally well, and especially looking at the conditions that we're in right now, it's really amazing. So today we got a chance to learn a little bit more about TYRH. So let's just get straight into it. Now, this is the second talk we're having with Jacob, right? We spoke a few months ago. And so I'll link up the previous video later on. So anyway, Jacob, how are you?
Hello, David. Thank you for inviting me on your channel. I'm great as always. Thank you. And you?
Okay. Yeah, I'm good. It's nice. You're a very prolific builder on Pulse Chain, right? And I want to hear what your thoughts are regarding to Pulse Chain. What's happening right now with Richard Hart? What are your thoughts around the whole ecosystem, and how do you view the space right now?
Honestly, I think it's very hard to get clever on. I've somewhat just kind of decided to distance myself from all of the speculation or the ideas because it seems like that I'm coping, but I tend to believe that Richard is trying to shake some paper hands out or some non-believers out. That's what I have decided to tell myself at least. And there are good reasons to believe that, and but at the same time, it fits the narrative we need right now. So honestly, I think it's all over the place, but I will wait to make my conclusions. I would say we are still in a bear market, and 9 out of 10 protocols that launches like PulseChain will have a phase of downward price pressure. I think that's more the norm to see nowadays.
Yeah, and okay, so having said that, right, you're still a very big builder in the space. You're building a lot of stuff. You've done a lot of work in terms of building. How do you view the ecosystem? Like maybe say a few 2 years from now, 3 years from now, as you're building, what's the grand vision for Pulse Chain?
Well, obviously, at any layer one chain is successful by activity, right? So we need to spend PLS so it goes up in price, and we need to pay the validators, and we need to grow the activity. Doing that means that we appeal to a broad palette of builders and a broad palette of products. We need basically all the products that are existing on other protocols as well, because they exist there for a reason, mostly because there's a demand. So what I think is that a layer one that's only 2 or 3 months old is obviously an infant in the space, and before we can truly understand its true potential, we need these different protocols to start building on it, especially oracles, native stable coins. I know we have the Coast one now, but we need these big players to come in and support the infrastructure. Also, just something like premium RPC nodes, like Infura. There's so much infrastructure that is needed to be able to build high quality Web3 infrastructure easily for builders that is simply not there yet. But that makes sense because it's 2 or 3 months old, so I wouldn't expect it to be there yet. Especially not with the latest announcements on the SEC. That I don't think that makes it's better in any way, but it's a young chain, and I think it's dangerous to speculate on like how well are we doing right now, because we are missing all of the important parts still.
Yeah, I agreed 100%. And like what you said, it's only about 3 months old. So, but I think that for 3 months as well, the numbers look good. Passionate community that has been participating actively. If you look at like in 3 months, we compete with a lot of the major blockchains out there. So I think I would agree that yeah. And so your first project is PulseSpot, and what are the updates in regards to PulseSpot?
PulsePod needs an oracle to function. Specifically, we are using Chainlink on the current BNB version of our protocol, and many of our games, especially the more popular games such as Roulette, is reliant on decentralized randomness generator, and that's a security thing, and we take security very seriously. And so because of that, Pulse Chain does not have a oracle, and many projects are waiting for one, a quality one. And so far, it seems to me like the Fetch oracle by Liquid Loans is probably, at least on the short term, is going to be the significant player, and which we will also use. That means obviously we have an obstacle for launch, which is a dependency on a third party project. and that's basically where we are right now.
Okay, okay, yeah, that's great. And so you said decentralized randomness on BNB. So it needs an oracle, yeah?
An oracle is a service that injects data into a smart contract. And you better be pretty sure that that data is correct. If you're injecting a
Okay,
BTC
okay,
price of
okay.
10K, it's pretty bad. And the same way,
Mm.
if you're injecting a result that is tampered with, right? For our roulette, we are basically getting a number from 0 to 27, I think, or 26 or 36, sorry, and that is actually a string produced by more than 50 computers, 50 nodes. They produce a small part of that number each. So imagine the outcome is 0. That meant that 50 computers had to work together to actually produce that 0. That's why they can claim
Okay.
that not one entity could have decided the outcome of that RNG delivery. And that's why Chainlink is so good. And they also offer the automation services. They offer all sorts of great tools for smart contract builders. And all of this is not available on PulseChain yet. So we are still waiting for like this slow enabling of different projects. PulsePod is one of them.
Okay, yeah, yeah, that's understandable. Obviously, like since Pulse Chain is still new, all of the building, some of it will definitely take more time. But let's get into the juicy part, right? TYRH. Thank you, Richard Hart.
The
That's a really
juicy
great
part.
name. How did you think of it?
Yeah. So, well, we wanted to build a meme coin for PulseChain because we noticed that there is definitely a large market for meme coins and yield factories and just basically financial products where you can, in a less serious way, you can have some fun and making some small speculative plays. I think there's a massive
Mm.
demand for this kind of stuff, and you can just look no further than BNB and you will see this stuff all day long. And I think what inspired the name specifically is that when I built TYRH as a meme, I knew what I wanted to do was benefit Richard in some way or another. And the decision was to burn his coins because that's a quite direct way of benefiting him, right? So, and
Mm.
actually also making one of his tokens deflationary single handedly. But we then came up with the "Thank you, Richard Hart" name because it was at that time actually a trending hashtag on Twitter already, and a lot of users were already using it. And since the protocol was burning Richard's tokens, it was kind of just a hand in glove moment where we just decided on calling it that.
Okay, yeah, that's really cool. That's it was already trending, and then you thought, yeah, this is a great opportunity that you're building something that benefits Richard Hart ecosystem, and yeah, definitely a good match there. So how would you describe it in simple terms, right? You said it's a meme coin, and is there anything else I should say if you're going to describe it?
Describing
What is
TYRH
TYRH?
Yeah, describing
Yes.
that in simple terms is probably a extremely difficult task you're giving me, because TYRH is magnificent ecosystem of 6 tokens, I think 10 yielding contracts, 5 RNG elements, 50 NFTs, marketplaces. We have so much going on that honestly I can't really I will obviously give you a rundown quickly here, but it's something that you need to experience, I feel like, for to
Okay.
have the full understanding of it. But in short, it's an attempt to gamify the burning of RH tokens, and we do that through a lot of different techniques that are very well known in blockchain and Web3, such as compounding yield, delayed gratification, speculation on future use tokens, live dynamic airdrop actions, faucet games. We are really trying to utilize all of the available functions that this new space offers to give people a bit of fun, a bit of entertainment, but if done well, a bit of money as well, right? And that combination, I feel like, is truly powerful, because not everything needs to be hardcore liquid loans lending, right? Or borrowing. Sometimes you can dump it a bit down and just make it easy and understandable and presentable. And I think you can actually catch the attention of a large audience.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's great. And the tokenomics of TYRH. I understand there's a buy tax and then there's a sell tax. How does that work?
Yeah, so when you buy the TYRH token, you pay a 22% entrance fee on your value, and the entirety of that value is immediately swapped for one random RH coin. It might be INC, it might be PulseX, one of the four, Hex and PLS, and then you have your token. So you receive 78% back into your wallet, and you paid the tax. Now you are in the ecosystem. Now you have these tokens, and you have paid your tax to RH, right? Because those tokens are now burned. But that's the same for everyone. And because we are not using that tax to redistribute to older users, it actually becomes a very interesting way of making a tax token. In some ways, it has nothing in comparison with all the normal tax tokens you would see, when you just directly burn all of that value immediately coming in. So there's no redistribution that benefits older people in the ecosystem. Um, and that is almost like, I actually feel like that is some sort of small innovation in the tax token space, because we have actually already seen that the Zen community have started to fork our smart contracts because they apparently believe they are pretty smart way of doing stuff, right? So that's a good sign normally, when people copy what you're doing. But all in all,
Yes,
it's
definitely. Yeah.
it's a 22% tax on the buy, and when you want to sell, it's a 10% tax, and all of that value goes to burning Richard's coins.
Okay. And is there tax as well when you're transferring, sending to a different wallet?
No, that's a 0%. Yeah.
Okay. And like you said, the 22% in terms of value. Uh, I want to ask, how did you come down to that number?
Stomach feeling, I would say, because it needed to be significant. I didn't want to use the burn as just
Okay.
a marketing gimmick. I could put it at 2%, and then I could claim all of the same grandiose things, like we are burning this and that, and we are doing all this sort of stuff. But I wanted it to be significant, but also without it being a too large of a hindrance for people, because as we have already seen, personalities such as B Roots, he simply will never buy it because of a 22% tax. Well, in this case, it was his loss, but a too high tax is just de facto a we're not going to look into it. So it was obviously important for me to land that balance pretty correctly, because that would allow a sweet spot where they would be willing to pay it, but also the burned amount is something we can take seriously, from third
Okay.
party people watching, looking in, right?
If I wanted to drill it down, right, to like the basic, are you saying, you can correct me, yeah, if I'm wrong? If let's say there's a 24-hour volume of buy volume of $1 million, does that mean 220,000 goes to buy and burn RH ecosystem tokens?
Did you say buying volume or total volume?
Let's buy volume. Let's say there's a buy
Yes.
volume of $1 million. Does
Yes.
that mean that 220,000 goes to buy RH,
Yes.
buy and burn RH tokens?
Yes, it does.
Okay, yeah.
So
So those numbers are big.
immediately taking
Yeah.
value out of our own ecosystem every time. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and how do you think that this will? Because I see that TYRH is growing massively day by day, and do you think that there will be any impact when the numbers are much bigger?
What impact are you specifically thinking?
I'm not thinking of anything. How do you think it will look when the numbers are bigger? Does that just mean more
Yeah.
burns?
So when the volume on buys increase, hopefully the price would increase, and the same with the burns. And what I think that would do is that we are reaching a point where not only are we making INC deflationary by ourselves, but the numbers we are putting up in burns on the other tokens are starting to get noticed. Like they're not just kiddie numbers. Like who goes out and buys 70k worth of PHEX or just in 1 month, right? That's significant. And what one needs to remember here is that it's all bought directly from the main LP, which means that every single purchase has pushed up the price, no matter if you like it or not. And what's also worth mentioning is that when we push up the price with a 22% tax sale, it means that that's tokens that will never get sold again. It's a permanent buy that can never get sold. When anyone else buys in the LP, they're just dumping on you when the price goes up, right? So that's 100% value in, 100% value out. But here it's a 22% permanent value in that can never go out again.
Okay, yeah, that's great. And in terms of tokenomics for TYRH, the supply, what does the supply look like? And over time, what will it look like?
All tokens in the TYRH ecosystem have a max supply, so none of them can be minted. Some of them are deflationary and others are much less deflationary, but they all have a fixed max supply. TYRH is 1 billion, and the
Okay.
other tokens, Plant, Water, and Burn, they are 100 billion. And then we have Holy on 5,000 and Seed on 10,000.
Okay, so that means TYRH specifically, the supply only goes down. Is that
Yes, that is correct. The token burn is what has the highest deflationary rate. Currently, in I think the 15 days, it's almost burned 14% of its supply. Last I checked, I think. So that's obviously pretty quick. 14% of the entire supply in less than 15 days. And that's almost a
so?
percent a
So
day.
that means that there's like roughly 860 million total supply left.
Of
Is
the
it?
burn, yes. But for the TYRH token, it's also deflationary because we have integrated a early end stake option just the same way as Hex has it. But in our case, it's
Okay,
just
okay,
a
okay,
permanent 55% penalty. So
okay,
um,
okay.
so no matter when you understake, it doesn't matter if it's 10 seconds after you made it or 10 seconds before it's complete, you'll pay a 55% penalty, and that penalty will go to the burn wallet on Pulse Chain, not a OA wallet.
Okay, so when you have your TYRH tokens, you can stake them, and then if you emergency end stake, you have to pay a penalty of 55%, and that gets burnt.
Correctly. And that's also why if you have staked TYRH and the price has gone up, and that's something that has happened to probably 90% of the community here, then you're now in a position where you have to consider, do I want to early end stake and take profits? Because you have to do the calculation. If you get a haircut of 55% and you have a sell tax of 10, maybe plus minus a 2% slippage on the price as well, you're actually close to a 70% value loss because you are worried for the future, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
you know, I'll just put it this way. I'm very excited for the future because when I'm looking down at my notepad, that looks hella bullish. But early end stakes is an important part of the system because every time someone decides to paper hand out, they pay homage to the entire system by burning 55% of all of the tokens. So that paper hands make TYRH deflationary. And that is a beautiful mechanic in itself.
Yeah, and I agree. I think the tokenomics are designed well, and especially the staking part of it, where there's a percent. If you early earn stake, you pay a huge penalty, and that goes to a burn address. I think that's incredible. And I see here, Carsten is saying that 87% of TYRH is currently staked. that means that the supply that is on the market is low. There's a low amount on the market. A lot of people are staked.
Yes, yes, that is absolutely true. When did a meme coin last have 87% of its token locked up? I think that's probably a world record, especially with this nice distribution we have. Yeah, that's I would say that just shows the power of our community. It's an absolutely awesome community, and they truly believe in the products I build, and also they believe in the product long term, which the staking rate obviously shows.
Yeah, 100% agreed. And you said that earlier that the Zen community is forking some of the products that you built. Which products are those in particular that they're forking?
They're forking our main burning contract. So what I heard was that Trevor James was building a token where they basically want to copy TYRH main burn function, and what happens is that every time you buy their token, it would then burn Zen. And
Okay.
they had attempted this before on another project, but it was basically a centralized action, and it depended on someone to actually go in and burn the amount. So there was an intermediary that was holding all of the funds, and then that person had to do the right thing and buy and burn the token. Obviously, that's a bit strange to do that way when you can code your way decentralized completely out of that. So that's what we did, and they noticed that, and now they obviously want that. Like who wouldn't? So.
Yeah, I definitely think that a lot of those features they look really good, and especially the staking features. And so when you stake, what can you earn?
When you make a stake in TYRH, you will get an airdrop of one of three tokens: burn, water, or plant. And it's actually one of the first RNG elements that you will be exposed for. So when you stake, it's a 33% chance of which of these tokens you get. But under that decision, let's say the RNG picks water, then you have a different multiplier of what your upside potential in the airdrop actually is. So if you stake, let's say you stake one TYRH, then if you get water, you will get between, I think it's like 350 and 500x more water than what you staked. So the effect of that is that you're actually buying TYRH and you're staking it, but you're then getting airdrop liquid value back to you again. And in some instances, you're actually getting sent more money back plus your tokens, your TYRH you staked. So it's a net profit, immediate net profit just to stake TYRH actually. We posted a video that someone sent to us on Twitter that shows this. You can start with a 100 DAI in your wallet, and you can buy TYRH, stake it, get an airdrop, sell the airdrop, and now you have more DAI than you started with, and you have your TYRH tokens. So it seems like a no-brainer to me when the incentives are aligned in a special way. These opportunities they arise.
Okay, yeah, that's great. That's great. And I understand that
Yes, a
Richard
money
Hart.
printer is great. Sorry,
Yeah.
go on.
Yeah, I was saying, I understand that Richard Hart tweeted something that is connected to at least some of the stuff that you're building. Could you please explain exactly what happened?
Yeah, so that is obviously speculation because he's not mentioning us directly, but he never would, right? But the
Yeah.
timing does seem suspicious. It was right around where people started talking about TYRH, and he came out with this long wall of text. That's why it's better just to buy his tokens with all of the value instead of buying something that would burn it, right? So it would seem like a logical assumption that he's indirectly talking about this project. And you know, who knows what the real answer would be, right? I'm not going to sit here and say Richard is wrong just because I built this, but I feel like there should be room for some different perspectives on this. And as I told you just before, just because Richard has four products, one is a CD, one is a DEX, then you have the gas token, and then you have an incentive token. Four tokens is not enough to cover the entire market. So assuming that someone who buys TYRH would also buy his tokens is the first mistake he's doing, in my opinion. Because this product truly exists exactly to do that, appeal to someone that RH is not appealing to. because that's what a true layer one needs. It needs something for everyone, right? So that's it's kind of the first point where we are probably not entirely aligned. The next point I would say is that, as I also mentioned, that when someone buys with all of the value, that's someone who's also selling with all of the value. So the question really becomes, would we rather have a 22% permanent upside, or would we rather have a larger short-term upside that becomes an equally large downside later, right? And I fully respect anyone who would pick any of the two, but I think it's an opinion based, maybe, on which route you think it's more bullish. Making INC deflationary, I think is a pretty good thing in itself, and people buying this meme coin is a product of that, and that I don't think Richard can deny in any way, because just buying INC wouldn't make it deflationary. I would be surprised if people would start sending it to the burn wallet themselves for free, right?
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. And I also think that looking at Pulse Chain, for Pulse Chain, Ethereum, for any layer one to succeed, you definitely need a lot of different builders. You need people building all sorts of things, and you also need people building things that that either the founder agrees or disagrees with. I think that if he's acknowledging, it's a good thing. If he's acknowledging the work that you're doing, I think it's a good thing. And I mean, if Ethereum was all Vitalik coins, it would not be great. Pulse Chain definitely is richer because of having a diverse amount of builders who are building a lot of different stuff. And I
Yes.
do think that the amount of building going on Pulse Chain is definitely it's a good thing. Yeah. And because different things will attract different people. The people that are attracted to NFTs are not the same as the people who are attracted to maybe hardcore DeFi applications.
Very true.
There's room for everyone, and that's if we look at the blockchains that have succeeded, they're definitely open to massive amounts of building. Now, the one thing that I think attracts people to chains is when they are builders who are building coins that have great price performance. I don't think that there's a better marketing billboard than that.
True.
Because
And
if you look at
fortunately,
yeah,
if you look at TYRH, that's probably one of the better examples of exactly that. um, we I think when you're looking at price charts, something that I think is very important is mainly two things. Number one is how well is the supply distributed, and number two, how much liquidity is there. Because if I see someone saying they got 1,000x on a coin where there's free holders and there's $500 in the liquidity, then wouldn't
yeah,
really care much about it, because what did that what did that change, right? Nobody
yeah,
really earned any
yeah,
money
yeah,
on it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But in TYRH's case, we have in the PLS ratio, we have a 2000x on the first DEX buys have been, reached now, 2000x, and there's over $500,000 they can sell into. So in my mind, that's a significantly more legit price increase, and it feels more right to utilize that as a marketing, because it's actually legit and not just some sort of we are an entire community that is sharing an LP of $6,000. That would seem a bit strange to brag about a price performance in such a concentrated situation. So it's very true. Richard has preached this for years, right? There's no better marketing than green candles, and I think we have all learned that by now. And we probably also can feel it on ourselves on a daily basis, right? So it is true.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And one of the things in regards to what you're talking about, if you look at Dex Screener, a lot of times there's a lot of tokens that pop up, and you see 10,000%, 100,000%, and I think they kind of understand how to game Dex Screener so that they pop up to the top. Because a lot of times when you do look at the numbers, like in terms of liquidity and volume, some of that just the numbers just don't make sense.
Yeah, so I've spoken with the deck screener guys, and I was complaining that they're showing all of the wrong projects, And the reason why they are that is because, first of all, their list of projects are not sortable across pages, which is a problem. So if you go to click Pulse Chain on Dex Screener and you then click on liquidity to sort for highest, you wouldn't even get TYRH, even though we are one of the projects with most liquidity. The reason for that is that their functionality can only sort within a single page you're viewing at a time. And the core reason because TYRH is not on the first page is because they default rank projects based on transaction amounts. Okay, so what do you think happens on a token that has a 22% tax on the income? Do you think that has thousands of transactions or fewer with higher amounts, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah,
so
fewer,
the
yeah, yeah.
the reason why we don't exist on Dex Screener for TYR8 is simply because the default sort based on transactions. And it would take me 15 minutes to make a token where I could sit there and fill it up with a lot of PLS and then just trade back and forth between my own wallet. And I could put any token I wanted, number one, on Dex Screener every day, 24/7. It would be 15 minutes of work. So,
Yeah, definitely, I agree. I think that there's a lot of issues here. You spoke about liquidity, and I understand you burnt the liquidity for the keys for TYRH.
yes, absolutely. We didn't burn the keys. We never had the keys. The
Oh,
liquidity tokens are sent to the dead wallet. So yeah.
okay, 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 okay. Yeah, that's great. And okay, now in regards to the price performance, yeah, the price performance has been phenomenal. And why do you think that is? Especially given the fact that the amount of FUD going on, and I think almost everything in the Pulse Chain ecosystem collapsed like 50%, right?
Yeah.
And but TYRH has been going up and up and up. Why do you think that is?
I think in some ways it's because there's been a big market for meme coins on Chain, but at the same time it's been a minefield. If you invested in 10 meme coins, 5 of them would have been rugged the day after, right? So TYRH comes out, and here we have a project by a founder with a track record suddenly, right? And an actual meme coin with a track record founder. I think that was something people wanted at a time where everything was rocking left, right, and center. And we did everything the right way. We have a track record of doing the things correctly, and we burned the supply. They burned the LP, right? So that is some indicators that this is a project where you won't suddenly lose all of your exit liquidity, and that's very important. I think that attracted some community members or some users, but also, this is a unique product for PulseChain in itself. It's actually an entirely unique product for entirety of crypto. None of this was something I copied anywhere else. As I did with PulsePod, I only built completely new innovative things. Start with a white screen and build your product. I simply cannot satisfy myself with copying someone else and putting a new logo on. I would feel horrible. So what I'm doing always is I build only unique products, and this platform here doesn't exist anywhere else. It's a Pulse chain original, you could even say, right? But I have already people in my DMs asking, can we do this? Can you help us set all of this up on BNB or this and that chain, because it will be a massive success. All of that sorts. They basically wanted plastered all over the crypto space, and so far I'm kind of holding back on that because I know how far ahead I would be if they just started forking. The front end is a massive undertaking, so I'm not too worried. but but that obviously shows me that we're doing something right when other people from other chains, they want our product we are originally building for PulseChain, right? Because if you look at
Mm.
all of the current projects on PulseChain, we are the ones copying from others. Like, we are the 99% of them are copies, right, from Ethereum projects. But here we have the roles reversed, simply because I built something from the bottom up that doesn't exist. So now they are coming here asking for, hey, this seems interesting. Can we do something like this over in our end, right? And that is, to me, is a bullish signal, and that to me shows that we're doing the right things.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And looking at what does the roadmap look like?
The roadmap is a secret.
No
And the only,
expectations.
yeah, the only thing I will say is that V4 will break PulseChain.
Sorry. Okay. 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 Okay.
So if
Okay.
you thought V3 was something, oh boy.
Yeah. Yeah. Vivo is going to do a lot more. A lot more.
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay, okay. I see. I think the reason TYRH is successful is because the project is engaging and mysterious. You never know what's coming next, and you don't have to wait too long to find out. Yeah, definitely. I think in terms of building, I have to say that you are definitely a prolific builder. I mean, looking at starting from BNB Port, it was just product after product after product, always new products coming out, working on new games and all that stuff. So I definitely think that that's a great thing, and I would assume, obviously, I would think that the same thing would be with TYRH, that there'll be a lot of uh, development stuff being built there.
Yes, I've said it before, but we have an amazing team and we all work perfectly together. We have, our strengths and weaknesses perfectly aligned as a team, and we can produce, I would say, practically anything of any technological. Um, what is the English word for that? Complexity. And what's mainly our focus is building new things, because that's what challenges us and that's what drives us. We don't want to build in a safe environment where we know where we're doing for a wage or anything. We are true builders that are looking for validation through users being happy about using our products. Like a professional carpenter is happy about delivering a house that a family is happy living in, right? And
Mm.
it's just a part of my professional person, I guess. But at some point in your life, different things starts mattering, and for me it's building something that people like to use. That gives me a lot. Um, and and we have a track record of doing that for a long time on PulseChain now. Just recently, as you probably know, we built the by far the largest faucet on PulseChain that freed up 45,000 accounts, and we spent a lot of money doing that. But that kind of ties well into our core strategy and belief, that is to just be genuine, be share with your fellow man, um, do well and be honest, and work hard. Because if you just do those simple things, success will come to you. Don't cut corners, and make people um, live up to what you say, and don't cheat anyone, because it's so simple. If you just do that, you will have success. And that's what I have learned over my 15 years developing in IT as a professional. And we will continue to do that.
Yeah, that's great. That's great, Jacob. I want to take a look at this from Max Payne. It says, Jacob, can you speak about the ongoing adjustments of levers and gears and how it helps keep the ecosystem balanced and healthy in terms of growth? And I want to also add that at least from this question, I get the sense that there is trying to balance out some growth. And what your thoughts in regards to that are?
Yeah, so I would like to minimize the amount of changes in the ecosystem generally, because I would like people to be able to rely on a certain strategy without it just being completely wiped out based on a centralized decision from me. Um, on the short term, right now, I'm doing economic change based on benefiting the ecosystem, as I'm trying to predict the way it will go. But on the long term, I want all these decisions to be a part of a DAO. So basically, the community can decide the multiplier on the airdrop. The community can decide the compounding rates. The community can decide all sorts of different things, a palette of different options within the ecosystem, because that's how it should be.
Okay, 100%. To make it much more decentralized as well.
Yeah, well, we are currently
Is it?
sitting on the treasury wallets that is actually distributing all of these incentives, and that won't change. But you could say that the decision making around the management of those treasury wallets will change, so that I might be the practical person who is executing the decisions, but I'm not the one making the decisions. That is how I would want it to be.
Okay, the decisions will be in the hands of the community more. And there's and you're working on an NFT marketplace as well, right?
Yes,
For
it's going
V4.
live tomorrow. Yeah, NFT marketplace is going live tomorrow. Community league chatting is going live tonight. New updated notification panel with global toggle or personal toggle for notification is going live tonight. And V4 is a mystery. I cannot go deeper into it, except it's not for kids.
But from what you're saying, it's an extraordinarily rich ecosystem with a lot of pieces. Like what you said earlier on, that saying what is TYRH is a difficult question. I'm starting to get that sense
Very
now.
difficult question. It literally cannot be explained without sitting here for a couple of hours. So, but in some ways, I like that there's not a definitive, simple answer to what is it. You have to go and experience it. Make your own judgment of what it is. You know.
Yeah. That's incredible. That's incredible. So the momentum here is huge, and the price performance as well is an indication of that momentum. And what are your thoughts in terms of maintaining that momentum, or what are your thoughts in regards to that?
So my thoughts on maintaining that momentum is probably utopia. The chart that we had was a literal hockey stick into the heaven, the green stick into the skies. That is obviously not sustainable long term.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
yeah.
we would be making, Guinness World Records, I guess. So, I would expect it to heat a bit down, but I'm still suspecting, a lot of growth towards V4 especially, and I still believe that TYRH it's pre-viral. There's a lot of, these RH OGs, Hexicans, Pulsicans, and all of those Twitter influencers, YouTubers. They are still, holding back on supporting it or sharing it or joining it or whatever, because they obviously tread very carefully, because you're just one word away from getting blocked, and I think there's a lot of people who would be sad about getting blocked by Richard, unfortunately. So I think they are treading very carefully, but when what I also think is that when one kind of decides to step into it or decides to take the risk on mentioning, I think it would be like a avalanche where it just rolls with itself, and then someone would be saying, okay, well, they can talk about it over here, well, then we can talk about it here as well, right? So the way I
Yeah.
see that unfolding is that the burn numbers will simply grow so large that it's impossible to ignore, right? And at this pace, we have actually outpaced now PLSX for burn rate on on the token. So we are burning INC faster than PLSX is burning, or PulseX is burning PLSX, right? So we are making ink more deflationary than PulseX is right now.
No, wait, can you say that again? I said you're burning more than PulseX is burning.
PulseX is not burning INC, but PulseX is burning
Okay,
its
okay,
own
okay.
token. Like PulseX is deflationary, but the rate of which each asset is deflationary. We have now made ink more and more deflationary than PLSX. Which, if you had followed a YouTuber like K4K, he probably spent 2 years talking about how deflationary PulseX will be, right? So that's kind of funny in my
Mm.
mind.
Yeah. Well, I think yeah that's a big endeavor, and that you're doing, like burning that much. That's it's commendable, definitely.
Well, there's no other protocol is doing it except PLS native, obviously, and PulseX natively. I haven't heard about any other third-party protocol that's burning anything significant.
Yeah, and you were talking about that. A lot of people are still really kind of hesitant about talking about other projects that are not Richard Hart coins. But I think that if more people open it to that, that would attract a lot more people to Pulse Chain. Because in terms of what you might want to call maybe objections FUD against Pulse Chain, is a lot of people will say that they'll say that it's centralized, and that might be just a wrong perception that they have, but it's still a perception that people have in their minds. So if people would start to see that, well, look, there's actually a lot of other projects that are doing extraordinarily well on Pulse Chain, I think that would definitely open up a lot more people to come in, to that will onboard a lot more new people onto Pulse Chain. So I think we would benefit a great deal from people changing their minds and starting to be more open to different projects.
Yes, that simply has to happen for a layer one. I think that is quite obvious to anyone at this point. So if users think that everyone should just buy p-hex on pulse chain and then everything will be good, then they are, severely mistaken. And obviously, I understand that there are some users who just want to focus on a man they trust and the products that he built, and they will simply not run the risk with their own funds or recommending anything else because there's a risk that they could rock or scam or run away. And I have full respect for that kind of decision. But at the same time, I feel like they should also know that they are dependent, the same person is dependent on someone else with a different point of view to make their chain a success. So I think as long as they acknowledge that, then I can definitely respect it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. An interesting post here. I invested 500k Pulse on day one on TYRH, turned to 54 million. Those are big numbers.
Good job, Giovanni.
Yeah, that's really nice. That's nice. That's nice. That's really nice. And we've all seen was done today. Yeah, I think that's nice. That's nice. We definitely need a lot of building. And look, if we can get if a lot of projects that have these kind of returns, that would be a great thing. That would be a great thing. And like what you said as well, an interesting thing is that if V4 will probably break Pulse Chain.
Well, that's what
Yeah,
I'm working towards, I would say.
I would definitely like to see. I would definitely be very happy to see a lot more transaction, a lot more activity happening on Pulse Chain, and I think that's what will make Pulse Chain one of the most dominant
Yeah.
chains out there.
And
Now, you yeah,
just
go
to
on.
comment on activity is that the protocol that we build is intentionally designed for activity. So we put in different mechanics for, let's say, daily visits. Like you literally have to come back to the protocol every day, otherwise you're losing out. Right? You need to empty the fountain or water your trees or whatever task you need to do. Imagine you have Hex. You make a 15-year stake and you do nothing for 15 years, right? How does that
Mhm.
benefit PulseChain? Over here, we have a carnival where people are clicking their mouse button so it almost falls off. That's how much activity we are generating, right? And I think people should consider that. Um, Activity is what will make PulseChain successful.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. The more activity, yeah, definitely that will help Pulse Chain. Uh, okay. I just wanted to. Oh, yeah. Just taking a quick look at TYRH here. So this is it, right? These are the statistics, right? So you've burnt 1.4, 1 point, almost 1.5 billion
Yep.
Pulse and 4.2 billion Pulse X and 6.9 million Hex, 37,000 Ink token.
Yep.
And look, just a quick question: why don't you include TYRH on the global? Why don't you include it? Like, oh, but obviously the contract is already out as one of the burnt tokens.
Because the value that goes in is not spent on burning TYRH. the value of burning TYRH coins is only based on people that couldn't live up to their promises. So early end stakers. So I didn't feel like that should be a part of the burn statistics. It is definitely a relevant number, but it's not a part of this design element here because I want that to be around Richard Hart.
Okay. Yeah. I definitely think that it would have taken it took a lot of foresight to be able to build something like this, and the success as well speaks to that as well. How long did this take you to come up with?
We built it in, well, the first iteration of TYRH, which was like week one. We built it from the idea on my notepad to production, token live, and trading. It was 7 days. And then we wanted to make the NFT update with Burn, which was really where it started to, I would say, get noticed. That took another 7 days. And then the V3 update was where it kind of really, kind of went crazy, I would say. That took roughly 14 hours, 14 days to develop. So total developing time is roughly a month from idea to delivery. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's really great. I think this is it's I think we've covered a lot of the basics of for like an introduction into TYRH. Is there any at least a deep introduction? Is there anything else that you think we should cover in regards to TYRH?
Um, Well, I think we have been well over it, and as I've said before, I would actually prefer you experiencing it yourself. So, if I have piqued your interest in any way, you could go to our website or Telegram. Ask any questions. I'm sure there will be someone to help you, and just try it out. It's a piece of entertainment. It's a piece of GameFi, and it's here to give us all a bit of relief in a otherwise pretty sad and long and hard bear market.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. Definitely. And you haven't seen a bear market anyway. TYRH. And I saw an earlier comment saying TYJ. Thank you, Jacob.
TYJ. Yeah, well, my pleasure, guys. I do this for a living and I do it because I love it.
Yeah. And then okay, if there are any comments, you can just any questions, just drop them in the comment section. And we have, can you add Zen to the burn list? Okay, yeah, you can answer that one if you. But I think that the answer is probably no, because
Sorry, which one?
it's. Can you add Zen to the burn list?
So most of our contracts we deploy, we use the RH ecosystem mantra, which would be immutable and decentralized. And it means that when I make a decision, it's quite important that I have thought everything through. Because if I deploy and I share it with the community, there's really no way back. So some requests such as, can we change that or add that, or can we not just now let's stop burn RH token and just add our own token in there. Yeah, it doesn't really work like that. So you can't have the best of both worlds, right? You want the immutable decentralized safety, but when it's needed, like, you want all of the functionality as well, right? And all of the admin capabilities. So it's there's no perfect solution, and we have to make some decisions at some point in time, and those decisions are usually quite permanent. So yeah, it is what it is. The contract cannot be changed. These are the 4 tokens that will be burned from the main LP on buying TYRH token. With that said, we can obviously in the future add some sort of GameFi solution for burning Zen if that's what we wanted to, through a
Okay.
different kind of game inside of the ecosystem. Right? There's the world of opportunities is almost endless here, and we are very creative. So
Yeah. And in regards to that same question, because you gave a really good answer there, a very rich answer. I want to ask you this question. You said that some functionality will most likely move to a DAO. So are those some decisions that a DAO might consider?
I'm not far enough in my planning on V4, specifically on the DAO, to give you a proper answer here, and I do not want to give you an answer that will be wrong in the future. So I would prefer not really talking too technical on V4. Yeah.
Okay, okay, yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah, yeah. So, any more questions, guys? Please, drop in the chat. In the chat. Thank you for the stream. Thank you, how I made. Thank you, and Jacob has genuinely altruism in his mind. What
Thank
would you
you,
say
sir.
about that? I think, yeah, definitely. I think you released the Pulse Faucet, and yeah, you built a lot of stuff that has been really needed within the community at a time when it was really, really needed. What would you say to this comment?
I would say that it's you know as one grows older, it seems like you move your soul towards that somehow. It's like, at least for me, becoming older kind of changed how I view a lot of stuff, and you know what really matters for you and how you spend your time, and what ethics and morale you want to stand for, and what do you want to look back at when you sit in the rocking chair in 40, 50 years, right? And to me, that stuff actually matters. And I think when I was younger, I was in an entirely different place, but now I'm a halfway old man with three kids and wife and all of that stuff. And slowly, but I would say it is true that you become more aware of helping in some way. When you are young, it's more like all about you. But when you get older, it seems like to move more about what can you do for others, and that's kind of where I am, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's definitely great. And look, yeah, the way you answer is really comprehensive. You answer questions really well, and I think that people will definitely learn a lot from this. Very, very, yeah. There's lots to learn here.
I appreciate that.
So, but in terms of Pulse Chain, like before we close, if any more questions, guys, drop them in the chat. In terms of Pulse Chain, what are the things that you would like to see being built? What are the tools that you see maybe on other chains that, because obviously, from what you're saying, I can tell you've got lots on your
Yeah,
plate.
that's a good
What
question.
are those
Good
things that
question.
you think that? Sorry.
Yeah, good question, David. What I would like to see built as the number one thing is a not built, but we need Etherscan. We need PulseScan.com, and it needs to be hosted by the Etherscan guys. That's step number one. Don't be a cheap ass. Get it done. Um, think number two is all of the decentralization around Chainlink. We need all of that, like automation.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
need
yeah,
price
yeah,
feeds, we
yeah,
need
yeah, yeah, yeah,
sports market data, all of that, all
yeah,
of
yeah.
this inputting data to smart contracts, we need that. Then we need all of the infrastructure for third-party dApps for structures such as RPC calling. Basically, either you can run an archive node yourself and have all of the expenses related to that, or you can buy someone with have a service with them where they do it for you, and then you pay them a fixed fee a month, and then you can pull all the data you want. MetaMask does that as an example, right? So that is not still not available for PulseChain in a proper fashion, and we need that. And we obviously need a high volume stablecoin that is trusted. Like what Coast is doing is obviously amazing, but we still need a something with true volume and with a market name. So whatever can be done there would be impressive. And then I do feel like I would like some more centralized exchange exposure. If you go look at the coins of all of the other tops layer one, like Avalanche, Solana, whatever those that are in the same range as Pulse Chain, they are literally all of them listed across the entire market of all sexes. And it's like it
Mhm.
seems slightly odd to me that we have a top 10 layer one blockchain and we're listed on one exchange, OKX. So I would like to see that gatekeeping open up a bit more and starting to centralized exchanges starting to probably acknowledge the ecosystem a bit more than what they've been doing. So that's just my short list of amazing things that would happen. I have already put Richard in contact with the Etherscan guys, but I have no idea what went wrong there. I think I heard the big issue was the $2 million price tag monthly, by the way. So
Oh,
Yeah,
monthly.
yeah,
Oh, it's a monthly fee. That's a lot. But look, I definitely agree with you on Etherscan. I agree. It would be nice to have Etherscan on Pulse Chain. And in regard to centralized exchange listings, there is an issue of look, Pulsicans are not traders, and we just we don't have that volume. Like I was looking at, we have OKX. Our volume there is like about under a million. But then if you look on Pulse Chain, the volume on Pulse Chain it combined is about, maybe last time I checked was about 15 million a day, and it obviously goes up and down. But most people in this ecosystem, they like to do things on chain, and so
yes.
it might not be that profitable for exchanges to list Pulse Chain.
Well, that's kind of a like the the egg and the hen, right? Because if they don't list it and they don't expose all of the users to buying it, then how would they know, right? But but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but I think if their target was just the hexagons, then you're right. But
Okay,
listing
okay. Yeah,
listing
yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
product like that is obviously also expanding the audience, right? So yeah.
Mm, mm. Yeah, 100% agreed. Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, definitely. So I think that's about it. We've covered. I think we've covered everything in regards to at least for an
Yep.
introduction, and then everyone can just go in and jump in and use it and see how it works. And but exciting stuff there, and lots of wise words from Mr. Jacob. Let's just take a look at these comments coming in. Make personal finance fun, definitely. Spread the love and wealth, Agent Hex. That's awesome. Uh, Centralized exchanges may be a little hesitant with such recent FUD.
Very
Yeah, but
valuable
in
point.
regards to FUD, I mean, yeah, but this is almost like now what's happening in the entire crypto space, right? I mean, Kraken has issues, Coinbase has issues, and so yeah, I think it's almost like part of the game. So it does create some hesitance, but in my view, I don't think it's a good enough reason
Yeah,
for them
I
not to
think.
list it.
Well, it seems obvious that they won't list something if if it's currently in a lawsuit with SEC. They won't earn enough money on it to be even worth poking the hornet's nest for that. So I understand why they wouldn't. But the entire SEC thing, I think, can become extremely interesting. I have my own little, bull theory around it, and actually,
Mm.
what I would hope, and it's probably, probably completely wrong, but just from my point of view, is that it would be interesting if Richard's tactics all along was to design a product that he knew for sure that wouldn't be a security, and then he would kind of build PulseX and Pulse to bait them into challenging him. And then what will end up happening is that they will make some sort of settlement where he pays a fine like EOS for Pulse and PulseX in the $1 million
Mm.
fine. But in return of that, they have to sign an agreement that Hex is actually not a security, which will open the floodgates in every single market and exchanges. And by that, he uses these protocols to Hex's benefit. Like, Richard is a crazy guy, and you can never underestimate what kind of plan he truly has. And I wouldn't be surprised if he has been planning for this for years. And I'm just honestly, I'm ready to
Mm.
bring out the popcorn and just lean back and watch him destroy them. I would love to watch him destroy them.
Yeah, yeah, you raised some good points. That would be really great. I mean, if a settlement would be really, really great. It would be good for the whole ecosystem. Yeah,
I don't, I
definitely.
don't,
I
I
would
don't think a settlement for the entirety of the free would be good. I think he should only make the settlement if it's a deal of acknowledging that Hex is not a security, and that would at least give some clarity on how can you build a contract that is not a security. But this is just wild speculation from my side. Please don't put anything into it. But it would be
yeah.
pretty cool if that's what's going to happen. At least EHEX would probably go to the moon. So
Yeah, yeah. But I would like clarity on all of the products. I would like it on Pulse Chain as well. I'd like it on yeah, on all the RH ecosystem tokens.
yes,
And
definitely,
do you think we could see that?
Well, I'm a bit worried for clarity on securities because we saw EOS, you know, they we saw XRP, all of these. That
Mhm.
it seems like when you get into that whirlwind, it's kind of hard to come victorious out of it, no matter what. Especially if you settle, because EOS settled and they have gone zero nowhere ever since, right? Even though they have what
Yeah.
$4 billion in treasury, so that is a
Well,
bit
well, well.
surprising to
EOS
me.
is well. The team kind of abandoned it, right? The team that the initial team that raised the 4 billion abandoned it, and another DAO took over. So
Uh, yeah, I
yeah,
haven't
I
followed
was
it
looking into
enough
it.
to know that, but I was following it very closely in the beginning, and obviously the main coder he left a bit early. That stirred up a lot of I would say fear from the investors. But overall, the point is that settling with the SEC is not some sort of yes, now we're out of the woods and let's resume to pumping, right? That's not a guarantee in any
Yeah.
way. Quite the contrary. So.
I think look. I think in my view, right. I would say that the problem with EOS largely was the team ragged, because what they ended up doing is that they started talking about building a social media called Voice. I think they bought Voice.com, and then after that they started talking about building an exchange, and then they started working on other things, and another team took over the project, but it hasn't really done it hasn't done much. It hasn't done much at all.
No, the amount of funds raised compared with the output is obviously a mismatch. So, if that is a slow rock, a direct rock, or a lack of competence on the leading board, I have no idea.
Yeah. But definitely, yeah. Well, the good thing is that look, I think the good thing is that Pulse chain is EVM. I'm not sure EOS is it's the EOS main chain is an EVM, and the good thing about EVM is that you get to move fast in terms of development, right? It's easier to fork things like Uniswap. It's easier to fork stuff being built on Ethereum, but most of the non-EVM chains have a really big problem because they have to build from ground up everything, and it kind of slowed down the process because the majority of developers are on Ethereum.
Yes, absolutely. Ethereum have what 7 years of runway. So when you make a EVM compatible chain, you can basically snatch up the most successful parts and most successful dApps, and you can deploy your own version of them with your own name and logo on, which is what has happened for the majority of all of the projects on Pulse chain. As most of the people would know, that liquid loans is a fork of liquidity, and
Mm.
there's a famous, which is a fork of GMX, and we have the Fiat is a fork of Aave. It's 99% is a fork of something else, but it makes sense because there's a demand for it. We need it, so someone needs to fork it. It's not bad that someone forks it. Everyone can build new stuff. We need people to fork stuff. 100%. And yeah, being EVM compatible just gives us a head start, and chains that are completely new will definitely have somewhat of a you know barrier to entry there and to get going. But maybe the upside potential is different because you're not locked into the EVM standard.
Yeah. There's this from Mointy Finance. When other communities learn about TYRH, they will invade it like crazy. TRH is truly pre-viral, pre-viral.
This is a
Yeah.
good comment, and the reason why this is a good comment is because if you go to BNB and look up their yield farming games or tax tokens or whatever they are called, drip, all of these things here, you would probably notice that they have communities of hundreds of thousands of users. And when you compare their product with what we just built, it's like we have 10x the opportunities, 10x the strategies, 10x the functions and buttons. It's like a BNB project on steroids. So we just took all of the great things and piled them into one project and just made everything better.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Great. We have some very great, good comments here. Thank you.
There's a lot of love in the chat. Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's yeah, great community, great stuff, and you're dropping
Yeah.
some knowledge, some good knowledge.
And honestly, I'm enjoying your time here, but I have an important meeting here coming up very soon. I'm actually already a bit late. I didn't expect the chat to
Okay.
be so good, but if anyone has a last chance question in the chat, I would unfortunately have to jump off here quickly.
Okay, yeah. And any last questions? Drop them in the chat. Yeah, I think we've covered pretty much everything. So I think we can finish up here right now. So thank you very much, Jacob, for coming on. I've learned a lot, and I'm sure that a lot of people have learned a lot as well. It's been great chatting with you, and I think we can close it here. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you everyone. Thanks for the love in the chat, guys. Thank you very very much, and I will see you again. Next time. Yeah.
Okay, thank you guys.